FOJ 27. What's up, Jay?
What's up, Jeff? How are you?
I'm good. I can see you, and you're like 5 feet away from me.
This is amazing.
Yeah. When's the last time we had like a talk on a couch that didn't involve a surprise 50th birthday party?
Well, boy, on a couch, I don't remember. I know we had dinner in Wheaton, and actually that is what spawned this podcast, as I recall. But actually sitting on a couch,
Beaubien, Ogden Avenue?
probably,
Or maybe Romeoville?
maybe Murphy, 702 Murphy Drive,
Yeah.
which I drove past not all that long ago.
Really? How's the old house doing?
It's still there.
Yeah. All right. Still a tipped over basketball hoop?
No. Actually, the neighborhood looks much better nowadays. Now,
All right.
granted, that was, what, 25,
a long
26
time
years
ago.
ago. Long
Decades.
Time, yeah. Long and too long for us to remember, I guess. So, but yeah, it's been a while.
Well, it's good to see you, man.
It's good to see you.
I'm
It's
here
good
in
to have
town,
you in
super
town.
quick, and
Yeah.
it's like, all right, let's do this, try to get it in line. I feel like we have a lot of stuff. We've already had Portillos tonight, which I was like, all right, I haven't had Portillos since I've been in town, and I'm only here this is my last night.
Portillos never disappoints, ever.
I gotta tell you, man, there's nothing like it in North Carolina.
No.
It's just,
Yeah, you've
it's
said
not the
that.
same.
Yeah. We're lucky
Yeah.
here. But the funny thing is about Portillos, it's like you talk to people who don't live here in Chicago and they just don't appreciate.
No, it's just a hot dog.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this before, how 3 of my kids' roommates in Minnesota, they were like, yeah, I've never been there. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like,
They need to get their priorities checked.
Yeah, you
And-
go there, there's no crowd, there's no drive-through line wrapped around the building.
I mean, it's
there
nice
is
for
here.
visitors like us. It's like, oh, I can get it and
Yeah, it's like
not
it's-
be stuck in a driveway or in this drive-through for half an hour.
Yeah, it's like a secret, you know.
Right,
but it's almost like it's disappointing, but exciting at the same time. So yeah.
What is your Portillo's order?
Well, today, in the Maxwell Street Polish, which has become like my new staple.
Okay.
For the longest time, I was combo beef and sausage, no peppers, cheddar cheese, large cheese fries, and a drink of whatever. But probably about 6 months ago, I was at the Portillos in Minnesota, believe it or not. And I said, you know what? I'm going to try something different. I tried the Maxwell Street Polish, and I kid you not, I have not gone away from it since. Every time I've been there, that is at least part of the order.
Part of the order.
Part of the order.
Right.
Sometimes I'll have another hot dog with it, you know. Sometimes I'll order a cheeseburger that I'm going to eat later, that kind of thing. But Maxwell Street Polish, large cheese fry, and a Coke Zero. That's what I had tonight. It's probably what I'll have the next time I go there. It's always good.
So I'm a 2-dog combo, cheese fries, and then a soda, and of course I have to get a piece of chocolate cake because it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I see it over there on the counter,
Yeah.
and I'm wondering, is going to eat that tonight, or is that going to be tomorrow's
That
snack
might be
before he leaves?
That
or
might be
a little half and half.
Maybe. I mean, I'm gonna leave tomorrow, so it's probably gonna get done tonight.
Okay.
But it might be if you hear plastic opening up for dear listener, as you're listening to this, that might be.
That's fair.
And I'm sure I will color commentate if I start getting into the chocolate cake.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to hear the whole cake experience.
Can I say something blasphemous?
Yes.
I have never had anything other than a hot dog or a hamburger or cheeseburger at Portillo's. I've never had Italian beef. I've never had Polish sausage.
Really?
Nothing.
Wow. Okay. Because I'll admit, I've sprayed to all fields at Portillo's in my time. I've done
My hit chart is hot dogs 99% of the time and occasionally a bacon cheeseburger.
Okay. Their cheeseburgers. It for me. Their cheeseburgers are hard to top. They have a very
They're
good
good.
cheeseburger.
Yeah.
They are good. Italian beef is good, but I will tell you, if you buy the beef in bulk and bring it home, for whatever reason, it's better.
Okay, so I lied. I have had the Italian beef because my brother sent me some through like the ship Portillo's thing.
Yes.
When we moved down. So I have had that.
Okay.
That Italian beef.
It's better. I
experience.
believe it's better outside of the building than it is there.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Italian sausage I've had, beef and cheddar croissant I've had, chicken sandwich I've had. Their pretty famous chopped salad I've had, which is really good. Never had their ribs. I know they were good for ribs for a long time. I know they used to do pasta, like one of the
Barnelli's, yeah.
Yeah. They used to do that. I don't think they do any of those anymore. But,
Well, I watched this one. We were at the one on Gurney, and I was like, whoa, like they have like electronic order
They had
things.
the kiosks. There were people everywhere. It
Yeah.
looked like a girls softball team of some sort was in there, and
You could get Monster energy drinks up front and through a cooler.
They had full grab and go, which is great. It's different. Definitely a way different experience than in the past.
Yeah.
And now it's get your own drinks. They didn't have that for a long time. So a lot has changed with Portillos, but it's overall
Still good though. It's consistent.
It's still good.
That's the thing.
Yeah. And that was the big fear when Portillo's sold and went national. When Dick Portillo sold it, I believe it was for $1 billion. And
For
they
hot
started,
dogs.
Yeah, exactly. That old hot dog cart in like the '60s, and now look what it's spawned into. But
don't dream big, kids. Go start a hot dog cart, and you too can one day be a billionaire.
yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I don't have my sound effects with me this week since we're in the road recording in the hotel room, but let's get an update on your passive income strategy that you've been talking about for the last couple of weeks.
So, okay. I don't have exact stats for you. However, I did take a bit of a hit over the weekend.
Oh, man.
Reason is the White Sox actually took 2 of 3 from the Red Sox.
How dare they?
I know. So, as we talked about last week, every time the Sox win, I essentially need them to lose twice in order to make up for that. They are about to lose tonight. They were off yesterday, but lost $10 on them over the weekend. Coupled that with the Cubs going into Los Angeles and taking 2 of 3 from the Dodgers.
I saw they won like 16-0 or something.
A 16-0 win, which is the worst home shutout loss the Dodgers have ever had in their franchise history, ever, which is crazy. But again, that cost me $10 more. So Dodgers play later tonight. They did win last night. So slowly but surely, I'm pretty confident I'll make it back. But it's like,
But we knew this going in. There were going to be weeks. You're playing the odds, right?
did.
You bet every White Sox game to lose, no matter who they play. And you bet every Dodgers game for them to win.
Correct.
Every game. And that is it.
Right.
No parlay, no combo
nothing.
tricks.
Nothing attached to it. Nothing, no props, nothing. Just pure, straight money line who wins versus who loses.
And you're up still on the season?
Overall, yes.
Yes, okay.
Barely.
Right.
But I am.
Okay.
So as long as the Dodgers at the end of the season win 2 out of 3, and the White Sox lose 2 out of 3, who knows? At the very end of this thing, I could be within $20 of zero either way.
That's true.
And that would make a lot of sense, actually. So
The worst case scenario would be the Sox make the World Series.
Yeah, right.
And something happens to the Dodgers and they just stop playing.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think it's pretty safe bet that neither one of those are going to happen, let alone both.
Well, I'm excited to go on this journey with you because I think you're going to revolutionize 2 fields.
Okay.
1, sports betting, and 2, planning for your retirement. Because everyone's 401ks in this shit right now, right?
It is.
This is the safest financial
everyone's
bet you can make.
401k seems to be doing a wave. It's riding the wave, and what people are concerned with is it's taking away time.
It's taking away time,
Yes.
which is a big part of this.
Yeah, of course.
But it's also when you hear like the stock market is down 10%, right? Oh, well, it went back up 10%, right? Just fake numbers. It is not the same because you're going up 10% from a smaller number compared to where you were. So you're still down.
Correct. You have to look at the actual dollars as opposed to percentages.
Exactly. Yep.
I learned this a long time ago in business. You don't take percentages to the bank.
Right.
So
unless you're making a Star Wars movie, and then you're definitely taking percentages.
No
to
doubt
the
about
bank.
it. Absolutely.
or Lord of the Rings, or Matrix, or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I will confidently say you should probably not plan your retirement based on sports betting.
You say that now.
I know.
It's early.
Some people do. Some people are very good at it, but with it comes risk.
What's the, I don't have children, but isn't there like a savings program for children? Like when you start off early?
Yeah, you have like what do they call it? I think it's called a 529.
Yeah, 529.
When you save for like college and stuff like that.
So here's what I'm going to propose. Instead of putting money into the 529 directly, you start your kid off in the womb making those bets.
Okay.
And over time, that compounds. And by the time, let's call them 120, they probably have enough money to maybe pay rent 1 month. for the shack that they'll be living in.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful, obviously, because there was a time where I was like, okay, Dodgers going on a streak. It's like, okay, they win a game. It's like, okay, well, they win 2 in a row, double it. Well, do I think they can win 3 in a row? Double that.
Well, no, I'm not saying double it. You take your strategy. I'm thinking this is a Tony Robbins. Let's do an ebook on this.
Sure.
And we call it Jay's wealth for strategy, strategy for ultimate wealth. And then we just make this a thing. And then see, now this is how you get rich. And of course, I'll take a percentage as the producer.
Oh, of course.
Is you sell people your strategy.
It is done all the time online.
Exactly.
I see.
Here's my bets. Here's my picks.
I see the reels. I'm what is it? I've hit my last 35 out of 40, or I've hit 90% this week.
Yep.
Follow me. Yeah, people.
But here's the thing: is it's not specific bets. It's just your strategy. It's going to be a 1-page ebook.
Right.
That just says pick the worst team in the league and bet, against them every time, and then find the best team in the league and bet for them every time, and do that every year on every sport.
Well, that's one thing. I may carry this over into the NFL.
Okay.
And figure out, okay, who's going to stink? Like team, like we'll just pull it out of thin air, like Cleveland.
Giants.
Yeah. There you go.
Well, I mean, they have Jameis Winston now and Russell Wilson, so Super Bowl maybe.
Okay. So again, I'll go back to Cleveland.
Yeah, right.
Whoever, and again, pick them to lose every game, and then pick a team like, since they won the Super Bowl, Eagles. Pick them to win every game and just see how that rides. Obviously, the odds are going to be different every team they play. Odds are they're not going to lose every game. Odds are they're not going to win every game. But I think, again, come out ahead.
See? I'm telling you, this is how we get rich.
So we'll see how this experiment goes at the end of the year in, October, I think, when the regular season ends. Like that first weekend in October. We'll see where we're at.
Now you going to bet playoffs and World Series?
Probably.
Just bet the whole way through?
Yeah, because, even if...
That's risky, though, because now you're getting into teams that are more evenly matched.
It is.
Yeah.
But the reward is higher.
True, but you could wipe out your entire season.
Only if you've compounded the whole thing.
Right.
I don't compound the whole thing.
You're just going to have the same dollar value
$5
for every game.
$5 each game.
Okay.
I don't do double or nothing.
That's smart.
I don't, yeah.
This is why you're the financial genius, and I'm just going to write the ebook.
Sure. Okay. But, overall, I think, I think the Sox have only won 4 games all season. Dodgers, I think, are sitting at something like 12-4 going into tonight or something like that. So, overall, in theory, it has worked out for me.
All right. Let's see. What else is on the list? The Bulls playing in for a chance in the playoffs.
Bulls have a play-in game tomorrow. I think they play the loser of Orlando and Atlanta. And last I checked, Orlando, I think, was winning by like 15 with like 6 minutes to go. So they play Miami tomorrow, and the winner of that game plays the loser of tonight's.
And that is a final. The Magic have beaten the Hawks, 120-95.
So they got to play, if they beat Miami, which would be them beating them for the second time in like a matter of a week and a half or something like that, then they would advance. The funny thing about the Bulls is a lot of people really wanted them to tank this year. And obviously, when I say tank, just lose.
I mean, 39-43, that's not tanking. Not good enough. Apparently.
It's not good enough because it got them in the play-in,
which hurts their draft position.
Exactly. So the Bulls seem to be stuck in what many refer to as basketball hell, which is average.
They're mid, as the kids like to say.
As the kids like to say, they're very mid, and it's hard because I understand players. They're playing to win. Coaches are coaching to win. But
players may not all be playing to win. They might be playing for their
They're playing
stats,
for contracts.
Right, their contracts.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Which sometimes is at odds.
Right. But what's funny is they had all these big money dudes like Levine and DeRozan and those guys, and they got rid of them, got a lot younger, but now they're playing better. They're playing better as a team. They've got guys that are stepping up as leaders that you didn't know they really had before. It's Kobe White's team, essentially, now.
Is it? I thought it was Josh Giddey's team now.
Well, I think White's the leader, but Giddey's the talent. I mean, we talked about it. He almost had the quadruple double the other night. He had the half court shot against the Lakers. He's 22. You know,
is he talent you build around?
Yeah, I think at this point you do. Him,
Don't have anything else, right?
right? You have him. You have Buzelis, who, as I think he turned 20, but they drafted him as a 19-year-old, and he's now cracked the starting lineup and stuff like that. So I think there's stuff to build on with the Bulls that you haven't seen in recent years. They were just humming along as average, or excuse me, mid.
Mid, yeah.
And
got to appeal to the younger demographic.
And now there's more of maybe a little bit of hope, if you will.
Oh, don't do that.
I know.
Don't do that.
I know. I'm setting all our listeners up for just disappointment and failure. And, you know,
well, if they're listening, chances are they're probably in the Chicago area and they're probably well aware of what's going on.
They know what's going on.
Yeah.
They're not stupid.
Yeah.
They're not stupid. So we got that. Blackhawks ended their season tonight. They won 4-3 in overtime.
Cool.
In Ottawa, if anybody cares. What is it? I think they're quote-unquote generational talent. Bedard, I think he had 2 goals. He had an assist. He ends the season with, 23 goals and I think 44 or 45 assists. He now owns the franchise record for most assists as a teenager in 2 years. I think it's like 82. A lot of people expected him to be like this big, phenomenal, right off the bat, 40-goal guy. A lot of people don't. If you watch the games, he still has a lot to work on. He's young. He's not very big. He can definitely skate. Doesn't do well on the defensive end. There's a lot more to be had with him.
Is it realistic? Do you think he's the type of player who will work on those types of things?
I think he will.
Yeah.
He also doesn't have a ton of help, whereas other teams can really focus on him because they really don't have to focus on other people or other guys because they're just not as skilled as he is. So it's like if you key on him, it's like you shut Bedard down, you shut the Hawks down.
Right, you're playing the odds.
The good thing, though, is I was watching the game the other day, and they said they have had, I think it's 12 different players make their NHL debut this year.
That's a young team.
It's a very young team. I think at one point they had 12 guys on their roster under the age of 23.
Well, it showed in the records.
It did.
25 and 46 and 11 ties and a minus 70 differential.
Yeah.
Second worst in the league.
Yeah, lots to work on. Definitely lots to work on. But I think, again, if you watch the games, for the most part, they're competitive. They ended the season on a high note. They got a lot of young guys that, got chances. So I think we're starting to see a little bit of the future come to fruition. They've got another high draft pick, obviously, coming this year. It's either going to be number 1 or number 2, most likely. So I think there's, again, reasons to be optimistic. I don't want to use the H word that I just used with the Bulls because, once again, I don't want to set anybody up for failure. But sometimes it's all we have.
I will take it.
Yeah.
Young. At least they're losing right. They're losing and maintaining draft position, and unlike the mid Bulls.
Yes. Yeah. They're
perpetually stuck for what, the last 10 years, 15 years?
Yeah.
As average.
Ever since Derrick Rose left, that era ended. The Bulls have been just blah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And then, there's the Sox, who, again, are losing a lot, bringing up young guys. They just had a second baseman who made his debut other day. First game, he had a hit, he had 3 walks, got on base 4 times. First time that's happened in a long time. Played well through the weekend, got his second hit the very next day. So, again, they've got guys in their system that they can be optimistic about. But What a lot of fans don't understand is this stuff takes time.
Yeah, but if you're in the spot where things take time, right? Let's take Bedard, right, for the Blackhawks, right?
Sure.
Great player, he's still young, still has plenty of things to work on. There are windows of opportunity.
There are.
And so if you don't put the pieces around him very quickly, that window passes, and then what do we end up with? Another aging veteran that either sticks around too long, or we trade somewhere else, or we cut him, not cut him, we trade him, get something for value now in the hopes that maybe we will be able to actually coordinate players getting better at the same time.
Right. Well, we'll just take hockey, for example. I think, entry-level contracts in hockey are for 3 years. Like, you know how football has 4-year with a 5th-year option. I'm not sure what basketball is, but I know hockey, I believe, is 3-year, what they refer to as an entry-level contract. So you basically have 3 years with a player to decide if you want to keep him. And then I believe at the end of the 3rd year, I want to say he becomes what's called a restricted free agent, meaning other teams could potentially sign him to what's referred to as an offer sheet. You then have the
right to match, let him go,
or beat it, or whatever. If you match it, you keep the player. If you match it, I think you keep the player. Then you have exclusive rights to negotiate an extension, something like that. I don't know how long, once you match it, how long you keep him for. I don't know off the top of my head when he becomes unrestricted and just becomes available to the masses. Obviously, football, you know, it's either a 4th-year team either picks up or declines the option. Baseball, I think contracts are kind of all over the board, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
You know, definitely all over the board. You know, as far as baseball finances and things like that. But hockey and basketball, I think, are pretty structured as far as rookie contracts go.
Owners got to love that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And that's why baseball is going to have a problem at the end. I think their collective bargaining deal expires at the end of next year. And then they're going to have all kinds of things to talk about as far as salary floor, salary cap.
Deferred contracts.
Torpedo bats, who knows?
Hey, man, I'm in favor of the torpedo bats. Anything that improves offense and the flow of the game, make it faster,
for sure.
Do it. It takes too long to watch baseball. And we proved in the last
We
episode
proved that there is not a lot of action in baseball,
That's right.
and we did support the idea that baseball is boring, which I totally understand. I get. I enjoy it, but now I respect people more who think it's boring.
Because you didn't before.
Well, no.
Right, of course not. Right, yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, you're a baseball purist
I am.
and a diehard, and that's fine. That's cool. Everybody should have a passion. All right. I saw this article about Travis Hunter. Right?
Okay.
He's going to be a top pick.
Yes.
Right? Probably number 1 pick, I guess, or close to it.
He'll probably be in the top
3.
2 or 3, yeah.
Right. And so he played both ways last year.
Yes.
Wide receiver and defensive back.
And very well at both.
Very good at both.
Yes.
And he is saying that if he can't play both ways, that he will quit football. Even though teams are telling him that he really needs to pick one or the other and focus on it to be elite level. How realistic is it for Travis Hunter to be Pro Bowl talent at both positions in today's NFL?
I don't think it is realistic.
I'd love to be proved wrong because these are generational talents, right, to come along. Who's the last one to do it? Deion's probably the closest one, right?
Deion, yeah. Deion obviously played Pro Bowl corner.
But he was way better as a corner than he was a receiver.
Yeah, but he was a slot receiver who,
right.
you know.
And a punt returner.
And punt returner and all that. Just for Deion, you can make an argument that he's maybe the best overall football player that's ever played based on what he did. But, Hunter played over 100 snaps every college game.
And this is the NFL.
This is the NFL. These are
grown men.
Grown-ass men.
Trying to kill you on every single play.
Yes.
Yep. Hey, I'd love to see it.
I would too.
I don't think it's realistic.
No, I don't either.
Especially as a rookie coming in.
Yeah, I think you're setting yourself up by saying this in public, you're setting yourself up for any opponent to be like, you know what, this guy thinks he's such hot shit. I'm going to take him out and, make him feel it. And if he's not going to make the decision, I'm going to make it for him. That kind of thing.
So what happens if a team that drafts him lets him play both ways, and then he gets hurt?
Okay.
And it becomes, why did you let him play both ways? He shouldn't have been on the field because he should have been a receiver. He shouldn't have been on the field because he should have been a corner.
Right.
You're doubling your chances, essentially, of injury. I mean, that is just ripe for second guessers. And
it is.
Monday, us, I'm sure we will talk about it. Say, well, we told you we should have done this.
Yeah.
Right?
I think it kind of depends on the team he goes to a little bit, because obviously there would be depends on the needs. Like, okay, let's say who has the number one pick? Tennessee, is that who has the? I think it's the top pick. I don't know what they need in terms of receiver or corner. The Giants, they don't need a top level receiver. They have neighbors.
They have neighbors, but you can always have somebody take heat off.
What I'm saying is, if you drafted Travis Hunter, if you're the Giants, he now most likely becomes your number 2. So he's probably not the primary option. So,
but he might become it by virtue of people doubling up on neighbors.
Could be. Now, granted, neighbors without any number 2 receiver on that team at all last year still had what?
He had a great year.
Yeah, he had an awesome year. Mm-hmm. So he's still going to be, the primary target, right? So Hunter on offense for a team like the Giants, more often than not, is just running routes. And he might catch, 60, 70 balls. He might catch 5 balls a game.
But is that what he wants? Does he start to become a problem?
I don't know.
Because he's not getting the ball.
I don't know. I don't know
his personality. I don't know
his personality. I don't know how big of an ego he's got.
Right. Is he fine with being a part-time receiver? Like maybe he's a primary corner, right? And then, maybe he plays 20 snaps on offense or 10.
I don't know, but based on that statement that you just read,
he wants to play 100 snaps a game.
He wants to play, And as I do playing corner, there is no time off.
Right.
That's every play.
Yeah. And so your cardio and
and
because of his
kudos to this dude, but
but the ego.
Yeah.
It's fourth quarter, you're gassed, and you can't keep up. These are NFL receivers. These are NFL corners that you're trying to beat. This is not college.
Right. Now, granted, half his games he's playing in Colorado, playing in the elevation, so he's used to that.
Okay, so he's got the cardio, right? That's fine. So he's going to need it, but still. I just think
I think you're asking for a problem.
I think it's admirable. I think admirable that he wants to do that. Like, you can't coach the attitude. Like, that's a great attitude.
Yes.
But what we can do is coach hey, this is a different level.
Yeah.
I get it. You're a great receiver in college.
It's almost like somebody needs to be.
Now it's time to specialize.
Somebody needs to be the parent.
Right.
Here.
Now, I'm not saying maybe he is a dime package corner, right? Let's say he focuses on receiver and he comes in and he plays on dime package. Okay, cool. Obviously, if we've seen receivers play at the end of halves for Hail Mary plays and stuff like that, right? Jump balls,
right?
That kind of thing. Or let's say he focuses on being a corner. Yeah, come on in and have a 10 or 15 play offense
package or whatever. Yeah,
right.
Like he could be your slot guy,
right?
Once in a while.
Once in a while, a gimmick play, whatever it might be, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
catch 25, 30 balls in a season.
Someone is on the, hey, if he's on the field, we gotta pay attention.
Yeah,
because he's there for a reason, right? And it may be just he's a decoy, but whatever. I just don't know enough about him and his ego if he's willing to be that sacrifice.
Travis Hunter sounds like a guy to me who has been just worshipped since the day he decided to play football. Obviously, he was awesome at Jackson State. Deion brought him to Colorado. Guy wins the Heisman. All of a sudden he's the latest and greatest since sliced bread. They're retiring his number already. The guy spent 2 years. Here, let's get into this. So Colorado has decided that in 2 years where they won 13 games and lost 11, that they're going to retire Travis Hunter's number 12 and Shedeur Sanders, I think his number was 2. Hunter, I get. I don't know if he's the first, but obviously he may be the first guy to win the Heisman from that school. If he is, I get it. Totally worthy of it. But Shedeur Sanders played 2 years as the quarterback. Didn't win anything.
And he may not even end up being a top draft pick.
No.
Because his stock value is all over the place.
Squat. And you're going to retire his jersey?
Somebody made a big donation.
What, his father?
Right. Maybe that was, part of the reason he didn't go to Dallas. Like, hey, I'm going to stay in Colorado, but you got to retire my son's jersey.
That's the ultimate daddy ball situation.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
You know?
I'm not saying it's right.
No, I don't think it's right.
I
It's
don't know if
definitely
it's true.
not right.
Let me add allegedly before I get sued.
Yeah.
But come on, really?
Yeah,
Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been guys that went to the NFL out of Colorado that were good at Colorado. I mean, Cordell Stewart, Michael Westbrook, good receiver, Bears coach Eric Bieniemy, and I'm sure there's others that had really good college careers when they were competing for the national title. But Sanders, come on, man, I don't get it.
I mean, is Colorado that bad that they haven't had anybody? Who else is in the retired jersey for Colorado?
I have no idea.
Right.
I don't know. Like I said, the 3 guys I just mentioned are not. So I don't know who they've retired.
It's curious.
It's weird.
It seems like it's too fast
Yes.
for Shedeur specifically.
Yes.
And really for both of them, I get it. Even for Travis Hunter, I still think it's too fast. Like I think that's something you wait a couple years and let it settle in a little bit. Right? What's the hurry, right? If they're inducting him because of his college career, great. Give it a couple years. Let it wait. But Shedeur, I just don't understand.
Yeah, he could go into the NFL and be a total flop. Who knows?
Okay, so they enshrined a
Yeah.
guys who didn't make it.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds really are against him because
Well, of course. The odds are
quarterback
against
is so
Hunter,
hard
too.
to hit. Yeah, but especially quarterback is so hard to hit in the NFL.
Yes. Yeah, I think you could arguably say that not every team has a quarterback that they're happy with. So there's
I'd say most.
There's not enough good quality quarterbacks to go around the league, and that's why when you get a good one, you lock them up and all that. I mean, teams search for quarterback. Look at the Bears. I mean, hopefully they finally found one, but we're still, the jury's still out. I think. But
well, Aaron Rodgers is still available.
Yes, he is.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I know. Him and Oasis.
Yep. Let's see what else. I know we talked last week about the John Oliver transports segment. You've watched it. I've watched it.
I did watch it.
Let's get into it.
Let me go on record to say John Oliver is not my style of comedy.
What is it about him that rubs you the wrong way? His voice,
Yes.
his tone,
Yes.
his speaking style, cadence.
Yes.
What else?
I think he talks too fast. He's hard to keep up with. He's very in your face. I get it. That's part of the show. I do understand that.
I think it's part of his style.
Yeah, it's just not my cup of tea. Obviously, the guy's very intelligent. The guy's very smart.
It's a well-researched piece.
Yes, no doubt about it. What he was talking about with the transports, I did understand what he was saying. I did understand where he was coming from. I can't say I disagreed with a whole lot of it, to be honest with you. I mean, and he's just not my cup of tea. But
The delivery was one thing.
delivery
the
was one
message
thing,
is a
but the
different
content
thing.
was good. Transports,
It's very polarizing.
it is.
I mean, at face value, it's apparently a very huge deal.
it's probably a bigger deal nationally than it should be,
I would agree with that.
but
It's blown out of proportion.
it's blown out of proportion. But to the people that it does affect, I get why they're upset.
Yeah.
I do understand. Like at a more local level, I do get the controversy, and I do get why people are upset. Yes, at the youth level, is it that big a deal? Maybe not. But when you're talking high school.
maybe it is.
Maybe it is.
And I think that's part of the issue as we talk through this is and for anybody who hasn't seen this, I think it's worth watching no matter
I would
left,
agree,
right, middle.
I would
I
agree
think
with you.
There's a lot of really good information.
Yes, I felt that it brought the issue itself kind of back down to earth a little bit. It was.
I thought it clarified a lot because I don't have a lot of knowledge in this space.
That's kind of what I mean by saying it kind of.
And it was not spun.
No.
It was not left. It was not right. It was facts. Now, it's funny, and, it's obviously a comedy show, so they poke fun at different things. But
if you could see through all that, it was well understandable.
Researched. Yeah.
Yes. I understand why, if you're, if you have a trans athlete in high school, and we were talking earlier, like in the sport of, say, swimming, there's a definite difference in athletic ability, I think, in that sport between a male and a female. I think. I'm trying
to remember what they taught, because the swimming came up, and I think there's like a 9% difference or something like that. But that the advantage decreases the longer the swimming event is.
Yes.
Right? It becomes smaller and smaller. I don't think it ever disappears. I mean, maybe eventually it does.
They did talk about endurance versus speed or whatever.
Yeah. And to be clear, let's make sure that we don't piss a whole bunch of people off. There was not an argument for or against.
No.
It was, here are the facts as we know them today. And there's a lot we don't know because the body of knowledge, the sample sizes are
very
extremely small.
Yes, that's
a lot
true.
of the research that has been out there has been very, very specific and not enough data really to really form a solid thing. And this gets, I think, the main question, and the main question wasn't even this. It was like, yes, there is clearly a difference between an elite performance league of whatever sport versus what I called at dinner recreational.
Yeah.
And who draws the line as to what is a recreational league versus a professional or elite league?
Sure. I think we talked about, if you're, say, competing at the high school level for a scholarship.
Right.
That's where, if that situation arises itself, that would cause concern for, say, a female athlete. Okay. The interesting point that he brought up, if I recall correctly, was, and I think a lot of people get this confused, these trans athletes aren't changing in order to become better at the sport.
Right.
It's a lifestyle. It's a full 100% lifestyle change. And I'll admit that was a good reminder for me because for me, I am, you know me, I'm a sports guy. I focus on athletics.
And you've got kids who play sports?
I have kids who play sports. Yep. I played them.
And not even just, they're playing at a higher level, right? They're playing collegiate sports. They're playing travel baseball, right? These are not, I think, what would be historically, or maybe even now, a recreational league.
Correct.
Right.
This isn't a girl who's maybe 8 years old playing in a boys' baseball league because she doesn't want to play softball, which happens. And honestly, I have no problem with that at that age. I have no problem with that. But it was good for me to hear that because it's a reminder that this isn't a trans athlete so they can become a better athlete. This is a person who just happens to, say in our example, swim, or a human being who just happens to play sports. So it's obviously a bigger thing for them as opposed to just, well, I didn't get first place as a boy, so I'm gonna switch and get first place as a girl the next time. That kind of thing. That's not the primary reason for them doing this.
And there was a whole thing, I think, around this 900 medal thing.
Yeah.
That really isn't 900 medals.
No.
And so they addressed that point, if I remember, it was like, there has not been a confirmed instance of that exact case of, well, I didn't win as a one gender,
right?
So I'm going to switch to win,
right?
Has not happened to anyone's knowledge.
No, there's no. I don't think there's one
or
proven case where that was the reason they switched.
Right. And a lot of those 900 medals, because that's like a talking point, are like, I said you got to watch the episode to really kind of get behind it, because I'll butcher some of the stats, but a lot of it were like self-reported.
Yeah.
And like ping pong.
Well, yeah.
You know, like things that like really like that's what we're talking about.
Self-reported,
Yeah.
a lot of word of mouth,
Right.
a lot of, you know.
And some were wrong.
Yeah.
Some people's were on there multiple times because their name was spelled differently.
Yeah.
You know, that was one scenario they pointed out. So there's a lot to unpack there. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
absolutely.
that fact of like, well, I can't win as a man, so I'm going to compete as a woman, or I'm a woman and I can beat the men, that is not a situation.
Yeah, no,
at
I
least
think
at the elite level that anybody's aware of.
That's the big misinformation that's out there, I think. And that I will say was good to see, because a lot of people don't think of that.
Right.
You know, so I think a lot of people think the men transition to women to just become better at sports. And I think that's a big misconception. And that was a good reminder that that's not the case.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said, these are human beings. They have something they're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And okay, great. So this leads me to the question of, okay, well, what is, I think elite is easier to define because you have professional leagues. And I was surprised that tennis is actually ahead of this. They have rules in like professional tennis about what it means to transition. Like they've already adopted a rule. I think you have to transition over 2 years.
Yes.
And you have to test. And like hormone levels need to be within a certain range and blah, blah, blah.
Tennis has been way ahead of this.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Like there's a rule for that. But there's also rules for other things. Like college has them. I'm sure, I don't know what the other professional sports might have them, but there are rules around this.
Right.
And so this is not a situation, at least from what I understood, was where, like you said, someone made a decision and they're changing mid-season.
Right.
Or next game.
Yeah, exactly.
This is something they have to do over the course of 1 to 2 years.
Right.
And they're getting tested, is what I understood from it, and you know, to try and make it as fair as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know
hormone therapy or whatever.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't know the whole transition, what all's involved in it. It's not something.
But there is something in college, like that was one of the things they mentioned. Was like, yeah, I think the swimmer had to transition over a year, and during that transition time, she, I'm not sure which one was which, but competed from the gender that he was transitioning away into the female side.
Yeah.
And so while he was going through that transition, he wasn't a particularly good swimmer. I mean, he was fine. I think he won, you know, a couple things, but he was not highly ranked. But during that entire transition time, he competed as a man. And then after a year or whatever the time frame was, that's when he switched over. And then you get into situations like, okay, well, there was 2 fifth-place ties, right? And that's like this whole talking point for this one woman who's out there.
Yeah, I think there was like one instance where a girl or a guy transitioned to the girl and won, like, came in first place. And that's where this all spawned from. But it was one time, one race.
So this is what we're focused on as a...
Yeah.
Like, there are so many other things to focus on.
Yes,
like, why are we making this such a big deal?
On.
And I think we would find agreement on both sides to say, look, there are certainly some sports that there is an advantage to being a man or a woman. There are advantages for either side.
Oh, 100%.
And I think the one they called out was specifically like strength sports.
Yes.
Which, you know, from my caveman logic says, okay, well, that makes sense, right? But there are plenty of other sports where male and female confer no advantage based on any of the data that they have tested on.
Yeah, there are definitely some of those.
Like what? I mean, I'm sure there are, but there are not as many, I think, as
you could put the two sides of golf, women and men. The scores are about the same, pretty close. And I know these might be a reach, but it's the truth. Bowling. You can't tell me that men would totally dominate bowling.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, there might be. Let me play devil's advocate. There may be some advantages because now you're pitting potentially strength advantage over maybe some other advantage. I think they mentioned like women had an aerobic advantage over men.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, maybe in, you know, gymnastics for girls.
So there's like an endurance sport or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Marathons, something like that. Right?
Yeah. I don't think the gap between men and women is the same in every sport. I think
it's definitely not.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of overlap.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm going to pick on Trump here for a second. Like he's on stage and he's saying, well, I'm a big, strong man and I can beat this woman at swimming.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I doubt
really,
it.
Right. She would clean the floor with you.
Yeah.
And so that's part of it too, is like, it's not a cut and dry of every man is better than every woman.
Yeah.
Or every woman is better than every man in a given sport.
No.
You're talking about the cream, you're talking about the outliers, the extremes of both ends.
Yeah, I can tell you right now, I can confidently say that my sister could out marathon me probably twice as bad as she could run 2 marathons at the time that I can run 1.
I wouldn't, yeah, and my wife runs marathons, and I'm like,
yes, and so
I
does
eat
my
waffles.
Sister. Yeah, exactly.
Right, so
yeah, we eat chocolate cake.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, but getting back to the show itself, it was a good watch. Definitely, I would recommend if you have an issue with that issue, I would watch that. If that
I
makes
think
sense.
that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you feel like it was politically biased?
There were definitely some shots in there, but I mean that's John Oliver. That's who he is. And,
But
he's
from a factual reporting standpoint, I felt like it was pretty fair.
It was pretty fair for the issue itself. Let's put it that way. Okay. I mean, obviously, he leans towards the left, and he got his his jokes in there, and I expected that. That's fine. But as far as what the story was, what the numbers were, what the reporting on the issue that he talked about, totally fair.
So do you think this is, now that you've seen this, does it change your mind or give you any thought around, like, is this really the burning platform that we need to be focused on right now as a society?
No. And I didn't think it was before.
But it certainly to be on the right-hand side of, like, this is like a huge issue. We have to
I didn't think it was that big of a deal before, but I now think it's even less of a deal than I did before, if that makes sense.
No, that makes sense.
So
I'm glad you watched it because I thought it was good. I admit, I think you and I were pretty close on thinking before. And I was like, okay, and I don't think I've really changed that much. But I've always been looking at it like, okay, show me the stats, show me the things. And I think what I came out of it was like, there isn't enough data to make a decision on this.
No, there's not.
Something is more clear, but there are processes in place, procedures for leagues to address this. And this is not a scenario where it's just coming out of the blue and saying, like you said, I'm changing over now because I'm trying to win. That is not the case at all.
No.
It's just not happening.
And the one thing I think I got to remember, and I think we got to remember, is we're coming at it from a heterosexual
white males
perspective.
Right.
I'll admit, I don't understand anything that has to do with the LGBTQ community. I just not something I'm exposed to. It's not something I'm privy to. I'll admit, I had my cousin, who I haven't seen in I think we determined it was 17 years, come through last weekend, which is why we had to delay the podcast this weekend. Well, I learned that her son, 16, is a pansexual. Didn't surprise me. They live in Santa Cruz, California, which I don't know if you know has the highest percentage of lesbians living in that area. So that lifestyle is very common.
It's accepted.
Out there.
There's more acceptance.
Yeah, it's more accepted. I don't even know if it's more accepted. It's just it's more out there. And I got to tell you, I never met this kid before. He's 16. He's my cousin's son, and it's my first exposure. My cousin told me before. I mean, I met him before, but he was in the bathroom or something like that. So it's not like she told me in front of him.
Yeah.
And he had just recently come out, I guess, high school student, and it's something that she's very supportive of, and has lived out there her whole life. So all that stuff. But it really, I had never had hardly any exposure to any of that in my life. But I got to tell you, this kid was polite. He was nice, well adjusted. Just normal,
a normal human being.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I haven't had a whole lot of exposure to that community in my life. I just haven't. I mean, I live in middle America, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
I worked with a gay couple at a restaurant a few years ago, 2 of the nicest guys and 2 of the best workers I had. But when you come across that demographic, I guess you would call it, it was kind of a wake-up call to me. And just be like, I don't know enough about it, and it's not like I want to be exposed to it that much, but maybe it's not as weird as sometimes in my own mind I make it out to be.
I think that's fair.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have exposure to things, it's gonna seem foreign.
Yeah, it did.
The first time you hear anyone speaking a different language, the first time you see TV in a different country, and like, did I just see a commercial for HGH?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? And I think you're totally right. Like, we all have our bubbles that we live in, right? Our spheres of influence and things like that, our connections. And yeah, if you've never seen anyone of a different race, color, orientation, whatever it may be, yeah, like you don't know. Like, it's like when, white people first went to Africa and vice versa. It's like,
right.
It's such a shock, right? But at the end of the day, for the most part, we're all human beings. And I choose to believe most people are decent and good.
Good at heart. Yes,
Right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what was cool was, even after the fact, I mean, the kid came up. I mean, they only stayed for one night. They stayed Sunday and left Monday. So they were going off to Michigan, and he's multiple times, thanks for having us over. Really great to meet you. Gave me a hug before you left. They came back on their way back through, headed back to California. They came back Wednesday night and stayed till Thursday. They insisted on staying. They wanted to stay at our house. That, my cousin was going to get a hotel, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, can we stay at Jason's house? Can we stay at Jason's house? And I'm like, that made me feel good.
It's
so,
good.
like, obviously, I mean, these kids are West Coasters. They've never left the West Coast. They don't know what.
They've never seen a real middle
like,
America man before.
This is flat, And
Right, yeah.
they went up to Michigan, they saw snow and all that stuff, and they're like, totally outside of their, what you call bubble. I mean, they live in their own bubble, right?
Yep.
And again, they showed up. Kid was happy to see me, gave me a hug, hugged my wife. My son, my youngest, it took him a little bit, but I give him a lot of credit because he's not exposed to that either.
Yeah.
My son's a jock who, likes sports and, has a girlfriend and all that stuff. It's always been like that. But even he, hung out with us and hung out with them and talked to them, and it was no big deal.
Yeah.
And
well, it shouldn't be.
yeah,
I mean, really, in an altruistic society and all things being equal, it shouldn't matter.
no, and for those 2 times they were with us, it did, which was great.
Cool.
So
Do you think he's the kind of person that would be willing to answer questions
yes,
where you say, okay, help me understand this thing?
yes, I think
Because some people are like that and some people aren't.
I think he would, because my cousin Justine told me he's a very open, has no problem talking, very, very smart. Was not afraid to engage in anything we did at our house. Wasn't shy one bit. So I think, he would be somebody that you could talk to about that subject and what that's like. He's very, talked about the school dance that he went to. He took a guy, and it was no big deal, And apparently even out there, that's like the norm, as normal as a guy and a girl going. So to him, that's the world he knows. So, I don't know how somebody like that would be accepted out here. From what I understand, again, I live in a bubble. I don't have kids that go to high school anymore. From what I understand, it's becoming more and more accepted, which I guess is a good thing, right?
And I don't think it means that you need to, I guess, I don't know what the right way to put it is, but I think there's a difference between right, wrong, acceptance, tolerance, that whole thing, right? There are certainly people who feel on both sides of this thing. But at the end of the day, it's still, hey, we're human beings and we're all just trying to get along, right? And you may not agree with it, but it doesn't mean that you have to viciously attack it.
For sure.
Because for everything that you believe, somewhere out there in the world is someone who is anti-Jason.
Yeah.
And everything you stand for.
Yeah.
And we get too hung up on all these stupid little details. Of all the things that we're worried about in the world right now, I could care less about that.
Yeah.
Have fun, be yourself, and, do whatever you got to do. As long as you don't impact me or, like cause me harm, do your thing.
Well,
But that's true for anything.
Yeah.
Like, you can be another white male and stab me. I'm going to hate you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and part of it, I thought of it as, what if this kid was mine?
Mm-hmm.
What if he was my kid?
Yeah.
Would I treat him any different? Would I love him any less?
But there's a lot of parents who do.
And that's unfortunate, because I can confidently say that I wouldn't love him any less. I wouldn't treat him any different. I wouldn't try and steer him away from what he wants to do or who he wants to be. It wasn't intended, but it was a real learning experience for me. It kind of just evolved, and it kind of was like, hey, this isn't my pansexual second cousin. This is
right.
This is
whatever the person's name is, right? Yeah.
Yeah, this is Riley, who is my cousin's son, who I really like. I think he's great.
Riley's cool as shit. Let's go hang out.
Yeah, plays in the school band and, loves music.
Mm-hmm.
Plays plays the bass, plays the cello, plays a couple of other things, loves playing Dungeons and Dragons still.
This sounds like a cool guy, man.
Yeah.
That's all stuff we do.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
so
at least he's playing the instruments instead of just, trading them for a break work.
and the one sport that he tried in high school, and I give him credit for trying, was water polo.
That's hard.
Yeah. But he gave it a go for about 6 months, decided, hey, it's not for me, and then went back to the band. And that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. So
I want to go back to that because it was a question I wanted to ask you earlier about that whole line between recreation and elite sports.
Yeah.
Are high school sports elite or competitive enough, or are they recreational because it's a high school, or maybe any school, right? Is it supposed to be development and learning and social skills and things like that?
I think
Because I don't think schools have probably the budget or bandwidth or whatever to do both. So what should be the priority for a high school, for example?
I think that's where the line between one and the other is in high school. I think once you get to the varsity level, I think that's where the elite starts, because
now you guys are getting to
varsity level. That's where college scouts are looking at, scholarships are looking at. If you play at the junior varsity or the freshman or sophomore level, whatever it's considered, I don't want to say it's recreational, but you're still developing at that point. You know, and obviously, you play varsity, you're still developing there too, but you're not competing for scholarships as a freshman in high school unless you're on the varsity team.
So should there be more recreational opportunities? Because I think playing sports is great, right? You learn so many different social things and how to interact with people and teamwork and right, self-confidence, right, all that stuff. If we draw the line and say, okay, it's varsity, what's that, juniors, seniors typically?
Most of the time.
Maybe a really good sophomore, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
Do you cut off that part of a development for somebody because of that? Or should there be, I don't know, specific leagues or things like that are like, hey, this is designed for this, and there are rules around it, right? Whatever it's a year or 2 years, whatever you want to transition or whatever it may be.
It's tough, man.
Because how do you educate and get young adults ready for the real world?
Yeah, because I think there's so much, having 3 boys that went through it, there is so much more than the games themselves.
Exactly.
And I think when I played high school baseball, I rarely played in the games because I just wasn't as good as, the guys ahead of me. But
you were still part of the team.
There was huge value in being part of the team and working in practice, helping the guys who did play get better, helping them prepare. My job when I was on the high school baseball team, I was a senior in high school. My job, I did 2 things. I threw batting practice every day to our starters, and I rolled ground balls to our shortstop and second baseman so they could practice their double plays. Those were my 2 jobs. And while in the beginning it was disappointing to know that I wasn't as good, but damn, if I saw our guys turn double play in a game, I knew they were ready because I warmed them up. When I I threw a batting practice pitch one time, and I remember I took a line drive right off of my tricep.
Ouch.
Like, it was bad enough to where you could see the stitches of the ball in my arm. But when that happened to me, like, warm-ups stopped. Like, it wasn't, okay, get him out of there, bring in the next guy. Warm-ups stopped because it was oh, crap, who's going to throw BP now? Crap. Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Go see the trainer. Make sure you're okay. All that kind of stuff. I mean, people were genuinely concerned. And I'm just a batting practice pitcher.
Yeah, but you were still part of the
I was
team.
part of the team.
Right, and this is that mentality. We've talked about this as like quarterbacks in the NFL.
Right.
Right? Aaron Rodgers could still be in the league if he had that mentality of, look, I can't play anymore or whatever. I love this game and I want to stay around it. I'm willing to do whatever it takes. If that means holding a clipboard and getting the next starter up ready, that's what I'm going to do. And not everybody has that mentality.
One thing I don't think I have is that big of an ego. And that's where it comes in.
And that's what it comes down to.
Aaron Rodgers,
Huge ego.
he has the
We
ego.
pick on him a lot,
Yeah.
but he's not the only quarterback, right? Russell Wilson falls in the
Yes.
same category.
Yes.
Peyton Manning falls in the same
For sure.
category. Tom Brady falls in the same category, right?
Yeah, I think to play effective quarterback in the league, you probably have to have an ego of some sort, because you got to be. There's egotistical and there's confident, right? There's the line there, but
And if you know you're not good enough
yeah,
and you love the sport, you're going to find a way to hang on.
absolutely.
Somewhere. Whether it's throwing BP, whether it's holding a clipboard,
Yeah.
whether it's, I don't know, being the equipment manager for the soccer club, right? Or the basketball club, right? You want to be around it.
Every team needs
Yeah.
a glue guy.
Yeah, wasn't there a guy in the men's NBA or NCAA bracket where like they had the hype man?
Yeah.
Come on, everyone wanted to see like
He's
this
the
guy.
manager.
Yeah, and it's like he's the manager. He doesn't play.
I forget what team it was, but he was the manager.
Was it St. John's or something like that?
I thought it was at McNeese State.
I
I don't
don't know.
remember, but
Yeah.
he was the only manager in college basketball with an NIL deal. So he's making money as
Yeah.
the manager
Hey,
of
good
his
for
team.
him.
Yeah,
Right.
awesome. But yeah, and I think it takes a special person
Mm-hmm.
to do that kind of thing. But I'm telling you, man, people like that, they
They're rare.
succeed in
Yeah.
life.
They're rare, but they do succeed.
Oh,
they
hell
find
yeah.
a spot anywhere.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it takes a lot for some people can do it, and some people just can't. If they don't play, they don't want to be there.
Well, it's tough, right? People
is
don't
tough.
want to admit that they're wrong or they have deficiencies or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And some people can, some people can't. Some people wait too long and deny until there's, they have to do it, right?
Well, I also think at the youth level, I think a lot of that has to do with how the coach handles guys
That's true.
like that.
I mean, you need good coaches, right?
Yes.
That set that environment.
It's all about building culture.
Right.
It's all about building a
I mean, you
setting.
coach.
I do.
How do you tell, I don't know, what age? It's like
13.
13, right?
Yeah.
So how do you tell a 13-year-old that they're not good enough to play? They're 13.
Right. Luckily, at that age, it's not as important to win yet.
Mm-hmm.
I focus on, and it's hard, and I'm glad we're talking about this because we have our first game in 2 days. It's hard because I coach with two other guys. I don't have a kid on the team. They both do. And both of their kids are pretty good players, and for different reasons. But you can tell the ego is there for both of these dads. And that's okay. That happens a lot. It happens a lot. Me being the one who doesn't have a kid on the team, I can be 100% impartial.
Right.
But at 13, and this is what I told all the parents just this past Sunday, I said, look, our job, your kids are 2 years away from high school. We may not win every game. Our job is to make your kids better so they are ready for high school tryouts in 2 years. That is our job. Our job is to challenge them all. Now, that means our team has 4 different catchers. All 4 of them need to catch during the season for them to get better. Our team has probably 5 guys who can play shortstop. All 5 of them need to play shortstop at some time. It may not be conducive to the game we're playing. Like, hey, if we want to win this game, blah, 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 it's this kid's turn to play shortstop this time. Well, he may not be the best at it. It's like, again, where do you draw the line?
Well, it's a development league.
It's a total, yes, it's total development.
So you have to hold, to me, you have to hold to your values.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
Like, why are we
Exactly.
here? We're here to help the kids.
Yes.
And the record doesn't matter because at the end of the day, does anybody really care about
Wins and losses.
Wins and losses at that age, right?
No.
That's more ego on what the coaches, maybe a couple of the players, right? Something like that.
It's the players. Players, yeah, but it's more the coaches and the parents.
Yeah. But what's better for the kid in the long term?
Exactly. Every parent, and I think it's hard not to do this, but a lot of the parents kind of live vicariously through their kids.
Yeah. You want to see your kid be successful.
Of course. And you think your kid's the best, and you're, blah, blah, blah. Why is my kid hitting 8th instead of 4th or, whatever. I mean, it happens. It happens. But unfortunately, somebody's got to hit 8th, and somebody's got to hit 12th, and somebody's got to hit 1st, and all that stuff. But
part of it is also learning your role in a organization.
100%. My job, I've figured out that my job on this team is to be the positive guy. I have 2 coaches that are friends. One I've known for 45 years.
So half your life.
Yeah. He's tough. He's tough. He coaches football. He was a Marine.
So he comes from more of like a disciplining.
His dad was very tough on him. And I see it in him with his kids. He knows this. I don't know how often he listens, but he's a great guy. I love him. But he knows his faults. Sometimes he knows that he's too tough. And my job is to offset that. My job is to, hey, if he comes down on a kid, I'd be like, my job is to go to that kid and be like, hey, I know coach told you this. You can do it. You can definitely do it. We just got to work on this, work on that, work on this. I'm more the teacher. I'm more we don't have to win every game, but here's what the right thing is to do in this situation. That's what I'm there for.
But those are the memories that those kids are going to have.
Yeah.
Right? When you look back at like all these players, and like, it was my high school coach, it was my middle school coach, right? That really taught me
outside of mom or dad, most of the time it is a high school coach that kids remember as they're the biggest influence in their life growing up. Or a coach of some sort.
Yeah, I think that's
yeah.
You spend a lot of time, right, honing skills, learning the discipline, going through trials and tribulations, right, whether it's sports or something else similar, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
And for what we think is just a 13U game, to these kids, it's the World Series.
Yeah.
It's what they're playing. It's what's happening right now. They've never done anything like this before, so you have to remember that too. You can't just write it off like it's no big deal, because to them it's a huge deal, and you have to.
They're making memories.
Absolutely.
And you can absolutely scar a child at this point too.
No
right?
doubt about it.
That's got to be a fear. It's like, what happens if I say or do the wrong thing? But I think it's probably any parent, right?
My high school coach, I learned more of what not to do than what to do.
And that's a valuable lesson too.
Absolutely. I watch.
Everybody has a person that they've worked with.
Yes.
Whatever it is, right? Where they're like, oh my God, I will never be like that.
Yeah,
and you learn just as much exactly what not to do, because you remember the way it made you feel.
Yes, 100%. I watch kids today. I've seen it with my kids and how coaches interact with them. I pick stuff up all the time. Hey, I need to remember that. I like the way he handled that. Or, my God, how dare you do that to a certain kid in that situation, whatever. And you just put them all in your mind. And when they come up, you can derive from that, and then. And believe me, I'm not the best youth coach out there. I know that, but it's a learning experience for me too. But hanging with kids, it's fun. It's a blast. Looking forward to the season.
As long as they win.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I always end it with, hey guys, this is supposed to be fun. It's a 13. It's not the end of the world. If you mess up.
So did you start implementing torpedo bats yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
When do you think that'll come downstream?
That's a great question. I don't know.
I have to imagine college is probably already on top of it, right? I mean, that's pretty competitive.
I would imagine. Yeah. I know.
Savannah Bananas, are they doing torpedo bats yet?
I don't know. Is that big down by you?
I never.
You're not that far away.
I had never heard of it until I saw it on TikTok, Instagram reels that were going around.
They just did a segment on 60 Minutes.
I saw they were on SportsCenter too.
Yes,
I saw that. I think they're a big draw wherever they go. I mean, it looks like the kind of baseball that, frankly, I would enjoy. Like, it's more entertainment. There's still a sport being played, but it is more entertainment.
They sell out NFL stadiums doing this thing.
Yeah.
I'll admit.
Would you go to a game? Like, why not? Why wouldn't you go to a game?
I would go,
Mm-hmm.
but me being the purist, I think it'd probably be the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
But it's
But
not.
I know it's not
meant to be
intended
MLB.
a competitive game.
Right.
I understand that.
And these are good players still. They're not like
oh,
they're
no
terrible.
doubt, these guys still throw 90.
Yeah.
And if you think about it, Jesus, there's one dude who plays the game on a pair of stilts. I mean, how the hell do you do that?
Right.
You know? So the talent is definitely there. Again, I'm a baseball purist, so I don't know if it would hold my interest, but I would go.
I mean, if it doesn't hold your interest, if there's any sport that would hold your interest, because there's always something happening on the field.
Yeah.
Every at bat is some weird thing. There's stuff taking place in between plays, right? It is a show from start to finish.
Definitely. And I didn't watch the whole 60 Minutes interview, but I've seen some of the segments like on Reels or whatever. And they had the owner on, and he said that the way they came up with this was he basically studied fans and what they did in between pitches, what they did between innings. Most of it was they were on their phones. They were talking to whoever. They went to the bathroom. They went for concessions and things like that. And he basically said, okay, how can I hold their interest the entire way through?
Yeah, the other 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. How
not action on the field.
How can I keep people engaged the entire time? And that's where he built this from, and it's amazing what it's become.
It's huge. I mean, I don't want to say it's huge, but it's definitely gotten where someone like me who doesn't give a shit about baseball, right, is like, oh, that looks. I would go to a game like that.
Yeah, it's the casual fan.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that sounds.
Because you look at it more as like theater.
I look at it as entertainment.
Yeah.
Like, okay, what kind of crazy shit am I going to see in this game?
Yeah, I think there was a thing on 60 Minutes where famed baseball writer, his name's Tim Kirkchin, he works for ESPN.
I know that name. Yeah.
Yeah, he goes, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
And I love it. Yeah, it's great.
I loved it. So, yeah, I mean.
Well, so was Tommy Boy.
Yeah, of course.
And yet here we are quoting Tommy Boy, 30 years later?
Yes. And I who knows? I could go to a game and again, my mind could be changed.
You don't know until you try it.
Exactly. So.
Let's do it. Let's go to a game.
All right.
I think they're, Savannah, Georgia, and they tour over the place.
They're on some national tour this summer.
I'm not sure if they come to the Asheville Tourists or not.
I think they're playing either Wrigley or the Rate in Chicago. I don't remember which one, but they are doing one of those, I believe. But it's...
And it's sold out. You can't even join the ticket interest list.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. Mesa, Glendale, Fort Myers, Savannah, Miami, Tampa Bay. I mean, everything is sold out.
Yeah, incredible concept.
Yeah.
So, yeah, congrats to them. I'll admit it's, for face value, it's not really for me, but yeah, I could check it out.
Yeah, why not? I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Sure.
You wasted 3 hours and, I don't know, how much a ticket costs?
Yeah, I think I don't know how much a ticket is, but it's got to be probably, $40? $40, $50?
I have no idea what the cost. I can't find it because everything's sold out. So who knows? Yeah.
Well, it's obviously making money, man.
Yeah. I would go. I'll try anything once.
Yeah, there was a rumor, I think I don't know if it's like the Globetrotters where they play the same team every time, but I think they're adding teams.
Yeah, they've got a few different teams, I think, that are in a rotation of some sort that they do, and they have different stuff they do.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically what it is what is the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball.
Right.
So.
I think it's cool. It expands the fan base, especially for a sport that's really not doing well compared to the other major ones.
It's in terms of fan interest and kid interest, they struggle with that, and that's why they've tried to make the game go faster.
Yeah.
And basically they're running out of ideas to do that. So
they ran out of tickets for this year, November 1st of last year.
Wow.
So they've sold out an entire season before they even got into the calendar year.
That's wild.
You get into a lottery, basically,
to
show interest, and that's it. And tickets start at $35 up to $125 for premium experiences. No fees, no tax. All bananas is what they're saying. So good for them. They've built a product that seems to be successful and ripe for expansion. I mean, all you're really missing are places to play and players to pull off the concept.
Right.
And then the creativity of how do you work in, whatever shenanigans go around with it.
But I mean, the Globetrotters have been around for years, decades. Yeah, this isn't going to go away anytime soon.
No. And obviously you can expand it into maybe other sports too.
Imagine the Globetrotters Bananas version of football.
Yeah, I wonder how that would work.
Or I don't know if you could you do it on skates?
I think you'd have to pick sport. I mean, obviously you need sports with a lot of downtime. So like bowling, golf, where you're walking in between holes, right? And
Yeah.
the only way golf is interesting is because you have 60 players and you're cutting camera angles after every shot.
Yeah, golf becomes interesting if you're like the purist who enjoys the drama of it, and some people do. I'll admit, I watched the Masters over the weekend. I mean, history was achieved when McIlroy won. He's only the 6th guy in the history of the sport to finish the career Grand Slam. So that's interesting to people.
Yeah. Well, that's the drama of sports, right? It's like people like that. It's like, cool.
Yeah, it happened 3 times in the 60s, and then Nicklaus did it, and then Tiger did it. And it hasn't happened in 24, 25 years, and now, McIlroy won the first 3 by the time he was 24, and then it took him 11 tries at the Masters to complete it. So, that's the big story, and he won in a playoff, and, big deal. So.
All right. We're covering a lot of ground right now.
I know.
This is what it's like to have been on a couch with us like 25 years ago, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, we used to shoot the shit basically every night.
And play NHL and NBA and
yes,
you guys would complain about me, no, I'm playing.
Yes, that's right. It all started with real sports football and ended with Command and Conquer.
I'm not good anymore. I feel like I used to be good at video games, but
yeah.
I just don't play enough now to like.
It's like anything else. If you don't do it a lot,
yeah.
you're not going to be.
Now I play for fun and like I played a really good game that is not something I would normally play. It's on Xbox, on Game Pass. So if you have the subscription, play the game library. We do. This game called South of Midnight.
Okay.
And it is not a game I would normally pick up, but I had heard good things about it. I was like, whatever. It is art. That's the only way I can describe this game. It is art.
Okay.
I love the graphic style. It's like a weird, almost like a graphic novel style thing.
Yeah.
The story is really interesting, and it's kind of a sweet, touching story about a daughter and a mother and a hurricane, right, and stuff like that. And it's fantastical. You ever see the movie Big Fish?
I have not.
Okay, so this is going to be lost on you. But for people who have seen the movie Big Fish, this is as if you were playing a video game where the story is like what happens in Big Fish.
Okay.
It is weird and just whatever, but it was amazing. From like it's art.
Okay, what's it called again?
South of Midnight.
Yeah. Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is fun, and it's a little bit of an action game and a jumping game and platformers and things like that. But the story's cool. I dug the art style with it. But it is art. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. It was like it was so well done.
Sure.
That I sat down and I played through it. And I rarely will play through an entire game. And this one just held me to the end.
Yeah.
And there's twists and turns and stories, stuff like that. And then, like I said, it's not my normal type of thing. Like I said, it's a daughter, trying to find her mother and all the things that kind of happen along with that. But it was good. It was really good.
Yeah, God, I play video games rarely.
Did you check out Flight Simulator yet?
No, I need to.
Yeah.
I know. It's usually when Jeremy is the one who will play video games with me. Mm-hmm. And he'll usually just beat me to a pulp, whether it's we'll play NHL or Madden. Mm-hmm. Those are the only 2 games we'll play, and he is so good at both of them. Granted, he plays them all the time and stuff, but I know he's still I guess him and his roommates just play Call of Duty all the time. And I think Call of Duty to them was Command and Conquer to us.
Yeah.
That's just what they do, and, they are yelling, you'll hear the yelling from each other's bedrooms. And,
very familiar with that.
Yeah, exactly. So I laugh because it takes me back to when we did it, and I'm like, yeah, those were just the best. Mm-hmm. This was just the best times.
I haven't bought a Madden game in a decade at least.
Okay.
Like for me, football peaked with 2K Sports NFL 2K5.
Sure.
2005 is the last time I thought.
Yeah.
And that game was a masterpiece. For the time, obviously graphics have gotten better and so forth, but there is still no better football game than that from a presentation standpoint. The color commentary was unbelievable. It was fantastic. And what kills me is EA Sports entered into an exclusive deal with the NFL, and so there's been no competition essentially since then. And they still can't figure out how to do a broadcast, entertaining game. I think they try to lean too much into like the realism and like
Probably.
maybe NFL has something about this, like polished image and blah, blah, blah. But man, if you played NFL 2K5, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there because it's not like just me, like that was the pinnacle of football games.
I do remember that game, and it was good. And I know Madden today, I mean, you've got franchise mode and career mode and all that stuff.
And the graphics are good, and the animations are
awesome,
great, right? All that stuff.
The plays are so advanced,
but it's so generic and vanilla.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, God, I remember playing Tecmo Bowl.
Oh yeah,
Super Tecmo Bowl.
Still play Tecmo. Yeah.
Yeah, and how good the Raiders were because they had Marcus Allen and Bo Jackson.
Yep.
Bo Jackson was unstoppable.
Video game Bo Jackson might be the most overpowered video game character of all time in any game.
And then there was the game where you discovered if you ran the wrong way far enough, you actually scored, that kind of thing. So, I mean, God, I remember a 10-yard fight for Atari, for Christ's sake,
Well, the other thing about Tecmo Bowl and all that style, like all that series, was arm strength wasn't a thing.
No.
Like you could go all the way back to one end zone and then throw the ball the entire
Yes. Yeah, you throw the ball 100 yards to whoever down the field.
Right. They were more I don't know how they were figuring out the statistics behind the scenes, but arm strength was clearly not something that they thought about. Everyone had a 99 or 100 arm strength.
Yeah, no, I remember games like Tecmo Bowl and Double Dribble for basketball and baseball. I never, as much as I love baseball, I never really got into video game baseball.
Have you played the show?
I have. It's hard.
It is.
Show is hard.
But it looks great.
It does look good, but it is damn hard to play. It's really hard to hit.
The last baseball I got to would have been like RBI baseball. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like that was simple top down, right? And home runs and blah, blah, blah.
The game I have always loved and will always love is video game hockey. Video game hockey.
NHL 94 has a special place, and I think most people's hearts that
no
played that
doubt
era,
about
right?
it.
Made famous by the Swingers movie. I'm going to make Ronick's head bleed.
Yep, I remember. But
and we had a lot of games in our house.
Yeah. But video game hockey has always been good, from Blades of Steel to NHL 94.
To even now, like,
even
it's
now,
amazing, the presentation and stuff.
And what's cool about the NHL games now, it's not just the NHL, it's the Olympic teams, the all-time teams, and it's not just the USA Olympic team versus Canada, it's every country around the world. And, you could play Latvia versus Japan, for Christ's sake, and it would be fun. And, the graphics are great. The game moves along great. The announcers are solid. So EA Sports does a really nice job with that.
I think they actually are better at hockey games than they are at football.
I would agree with you.
Like, I think they, for whatever reason, the hockey development team seems to be better at capturing what it's like to be at a hockey game.
Yes, I would
Much
agree.
better than an NFL game.
Well, what helps is the game moves faster.
It does. But even like the commentary and the way that it just flows is just, I don't know, for whatever reason, I think Madden is so basic. It's very mid to
100%.
me.
Well, in hockey, you can actually you can actually do things that makes the guys do certain things with the stick. You can go.
We got the whole physics engine. And,
forward to backward, spin moves, all that stuff. You can skate, you can check, you can do everything that a normal hockey player would be able to do. So, I agree with you.
And, even stuff that a normal hockey player can't do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like make Gretzky's head bleed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Gretzky's, not Ronick's. Let's see what else. Game of Thrones? How far along are we?
Game of Thrones, I am season 2. I think it's episode 4.
All right. I'm going to pull up because it's been several years since I...
It's either episode 4 or episode 5 that we've been through. So my Game of Thrones experience so far is I love the show.
Okay.
I'm hooked. Michelle and I will watch this thing till the end, no matter how long it takes us. We are locked in. However, it is difficult to follow. As I told you at dinner, I almost feel like I need to watch every episode twice just to make sure I got it. I am still at a loss for probably 90% of the characters' names. I know who they are, but I don't know them by name.
It took me 3 or 4 seasons to finally be like, all right, I'm starting to remember who these people are. And remember, at the time I was watching it, there were, months in between seasons. So it was kind of like, oh my gosh, who are all these people again, right? But there is a lot of characters.
Yeah, it took me 4 or 5 episodes to figure out that this is better watched even with subtitles, even though it's in English. The accents are so heavy on some of these people, and which is what makes it authentic, more authentic. But
as authentic as this world could be, right? As realistic as the Lord of the Rings is,
yeah, exactly. I mean, we don't give birth to dragons very often, but
not yet.
Yeah. But it's cool. It's not anything like I've ever watched, and it's funny because I read some of the ratings and the critics stuff, and some people are like, this is the best thing that's ever been made on
Game
television.
of Thrones?
Yes.
I mean, it's really popular.
It's really popular.
I don't think it's the best, but it's one of those things like, do you like this style of show? And do you like the setting that it's in, right?
Yeah. I mean,
I described it as a political drama. It's a political drama.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
And I think you're spot on in that.
There's some battles, and there's blood and sex and all a bunch of other, and dragons, right? And all this weird stuff.
What's funny is, though, you think about what people write about it and how well it's made, and the storylines and all this stuff, and I'm thinking, Jesus, I mean, this thing covers, there's, like you said, there's total gore. There's a ton of sex in it. There's a ton of nudity in it. There's incest. There's...
Show starts off with incest.
Yes.
That's great.
There's rape. There's murder. It's got it all, man.
Yeah. It's a brutal world.
Well, yeah.
But that's the world.
But apparently that's what people glam onto, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, nobody wants to watch,
shows
flowers grow.
Yeah, I mean, shows like Game of Thrones and Yellowstone. Again, Yellowstone also pretty violent. Not near what this is, but there's some moments in Yellowstone that you're like, holy cow, But this one, whoa. I mean, this is a hold on tight.
So
you're going for a ride.
So you're into season 2.
I'm into season 2.
Ned Stark dies.
Ned Stark is gone.
And did you see that coming?
No.
Like, you thought at the last minute he'll be saved, and
I thought this guy is like the main character of the show.
Right, because he's on the tin, right? In the beginning.
He's here for the duration. Right. And suddenly, boom.
Yeah. That's Sean Bean, though. He gets killed and everything.
Yeah.
What do you think of Joffrey?
Again, we talked about this at dinner.
So I'm bringing it up.
No, and as you should, I think, talk about a role that was made for an actor.
Jack Gleason.
And the kid that they got to do this, I don't know how old he is in real life when he did this role.
I'll look it up while we're talking here.
But probably one of the most well acted parts I've ever seen on a show. And maybe not, and that's, it's acted, but also one of the best casted parts.
He was 18 in season 1 of Game of Thrones.
Okay.
18. He's 32 now.
This kid has the look, the voice, the tone, the body language. I mean, the actor who plays that part has got it all. And I don't know if he won any awards for anything on this show, but if he didn't, he should have, man, because that kid is the biggest, pardon my mouth, asshole.
Oh, yeah.
Perhaps in the history of television. But when you told me that he performed his role so well and people believed him so much that they started to hate him in real life, and he basically had to drop off the face of the earth because he couldn't do anything else.
He just got couldn't handle it now, and rightfully so, right?
Yeah,
people just took it to the extreme.
Like, this guy was going to be King Joffrey for life, and no matter what role he played, you couldn't get away from the fact that he was King Joffrey.
And you've only seen a season and a half at this point, so there's more to come.
Yeah,
right?
Oh, I'm sure.
But I was just reading his look at his age. He's starting to act again, which is great. I mean,
good.
But yeah, I mean, talk about like nailing a role.
Yeah.
Can you imagine anybody else?
No.
As like Jack Gleason as Joffrey?
No.
How do you? It's an iconic role. because we're still talking about it years later, and we're talking about how he crushed it. It's the same way of like if you're watching Breaking Bad, which I don't think you've seen Breaking Bad either.
No.
Walter White, like that character. Can you imagine it being any other person than that? Like, I know you haven't seen it, but like people who have, like, no, that's that. Or, Aragorn is, in Lord of the Rings, right? Or Frodo, like that's the character. Or Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man.
I was gonna say you could put this dude on the list of Jesus, the guy.
Well, Jesus is a different story.
What's his name? Carol O'Connor, who played Archie Bunker. Nobody could
Right.
play him. Or, Ted Danson as Sam on Cheers.
Yeah, on Cheers, yeah.
Or Chandler, Matthew Perry as Chandler Bing on Friends. I mean, you can't imagine anybody else playing this character other than this guy. Just an amazing performance.
It doesn't look like they ever won. They were nominees for Best Performance by Younger Actor in a Television Series in 2014.
Okay.
So they didn't win it. Screen Actor Guild was a nominee for Ensemble Cast, which I think
That's everybody.
there was many people on that one.
Yeah, I mean,
But yeah, never won anything.
So I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, how's everybody related? How's everybody, how's everybody intertwined or whatever and things like that. So I did cheat a little bit and looked at a Game of Thrones family tree online, and I've never seen so many lines zigzag and blah blah blah.
Left and right.
Left, right. Hey, this person's uncle is also their sibling. That kind of thing. But there were 70 different people on there.
There's a lot of characters.
And I'm sure there's even more.
Oh, they're going to introduce more.
And there's more than that, I'm sure.
And there's some really good characters. They're coming along.
Oh, I'm sure.
We were talking about Tyrion, right? You start off the show like, oh, this guy's a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
And over time...
I'm told he's like one of the most likable characters on the show towards the end, or however long he lasts.
Doesn't mean he's a good person.
No, but...
But that's one of the things I liked about this show was... You could go from hating to loving and vice versa.
Hey, he kept the one daughter from getting totally beat by the guy she's supposed to marry.
Yeah, he drinks and he knows things.
Right.
That's what he does.
So, yeah. No, really good show. I will, we'll, as long as it takes, we'll keep going with it. But, I like it. It's good.
Yeah,
I was going to try and watch Breaking Bad.
That's a lot to
Because
ask.
Michelle has seen it. She's seen it.
Has,
So
yeah.
I can't.
It's so good.
Yeah, I've heard it's awesome. But
it's a little bit of a slog to start, I think. I think the first season is probably the hardest season.
that's what she said too.
Once you get past that, and they've kind of at that point really established like the world and the scenarios and sort of the de-evolution of Walter White.
I don't think my brain can handle both of those shows at the same time.
Yeah, that's a
let's
lot
put
to
it
ask.
that way.
But you're in for when you get around to watching it.
I'm in for a ride on that one too.
I mean, I think like according to like Metacritics and stuff like that, it's like the #1 show of all time.
And
it's one of the few shows that has like 9.0 ratings or like
didn't
whatever.
you say it's one show that's never got a bad review?
Every single episode of that show is a home run.
And it's about meth, isn't it?
Yeah, well, not really. I mean, not really.
Okay, that's okay.
I mean, it's like meth is like
It's part of it.
dragons are to Game of Thrones.
Okay, yeah.
Or it's a world building
Okay,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that'll be next.
yeah, it's a good show.
That'll be next. Yeah, I don't know how long Game of Thrones is going to take us to get through. Because like I said, we're in season 2, and there's the 9? Didn't we say? Oh, we said 73 episodes. I think.
I don't remember what it was, but yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah.
And just prepare yourself. The last 2 seasons were rushed.
Okay.
And that was, at that point, I believe, maybe it was the last 3 seasons, the books ran out. And so they moved ahead of where the author of these moved things. And he still hasn't finished the books.
Okay.
Like, there's still no official ending,
Interesting.
for this series. And they're making spin-offs. Like, so once you're done with this, there's House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon, yeah.
Which is not as good yet, but it's still, if you liked this world, you'll like it. Like, and I do. And there's some really good acting in that one, too. And there's other spin-offs and stuff like that coming. Like, I'm interested in see what happens with some of the characters. I don't want to spoil it for you, but you can absolutely say, like, oh yeah, they should do like something with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love it. It's good. Mm-hmm. Definitely good.
All right, hour and a half. What else?
Trying to think. I mean,
I hope this came out okay. I mean, we're sitting here recording my mirrorless mics and
yeah,
my hotel room, and
I'm
it's
just chilling, man.
Echoey and
It's what, 10:30 on
I turned down the air conditioning to like 66, so like
Yeah,
I'm going from being cold to like, all right, this is all right.
It's 10:30 on a Tuesday night.
Yep. I gotta take a flight tomorrow to New York City.
Yeah, I am meeting my boss and the president of Cisco Great Lakes and one of my customers tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So in 11 and a half hours, that's what I'm doing. So yeah, that'll be good.
Yeah, I'll be on a plane in 12 hours.
Right on. And then what? In 2 weeks, we got senior weekend up at Concordia St. Paul. And then a week after that, college graduation.
Yeah, you're like a Clark Griswold with all your road trips here coming
I know.
up.
It's
Between South Dakota and Minnesota?
Yeah, this is weird. Tell me what you think of this. So the last weekend of the baseball season is also graduation weekend.
And for which school is this?
Concordia St. Paul.
So this is college.
College.
Right.
They're playing away in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But graduation is that weekend in Minnesota. So the guys on the baseball team, unless there's weather issues and they cancel it for whatever reason, the guys on the baseball team are unable to attend college graduation.
Their own college graduation.
Their own college graduation because they're going to be away at the last regular season baseball games of the season. So they'll basically have, I think they'll do a little ceremony on the field for
yeah, but
them.
that's still, I mean,
But-
that's a big moment graduating from college, right? I mean, it's
Well, I think that too. My wife's really upset
It's
over
a thing.
this. Yes, and she said, and we confirmed this with my oldest because the kids probably don't think it's that big a deal. I think it's one of those things where they don't think it's that big a deal until they get there, right? But for the parents, it's a huge deal.
Mm-hmm. That's max of just poor planning.
Yeah,
And somebody fucked up.
I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed that the school hasn't acknowledged it as much because they haven't said a word about it.
Really? And this is in what, a couple weeks?
This is in 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, this seems to me like, I mean, I'm sure the players want to play, but like, for me, I would think college graduation trumps any of that stuff.
Yeah.
And you've got to figure out a way to do both.
That's what I think. Or if you're their coach, I would think that you would want to recognize the event. Be like, hey, I understand the kids won't be there. I'm sorry for that. We're going to do this, this, and this for them. Mm-hmm. And maybe he will when we get there. But
it's a consolation prize.
yeah, and I don't know. And maybe the ceremony's more for the parents. I don't know. But
Well, you're spending all that money to send them there.
yeah, and I feel
That just reeks of poor planning.
yeah, and I feel
Like,
bad.
this is something you knew
right.
years probably in advance.
Yeah, I
right?
feel bad.
Or at least a year in advance.
I feel bad for the kids. I feel bad for parents who, would like to be in that setting and instead, take their graduation pictures with the cap and gown and at school and all that kind of stuff. And instead, we'll be taking graduation pictures in their baseball uniform in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. But
Or maybe they're wearing like the gown over their
Yeah.
uniform or something, right? But still, it's not the same.
it's just not the same. And it sucks because, especially in Jeremy's case, this is a kid who, when he was younger, wasn't the best student, really struggled, hated homework, really, school didn't come as easy to him as it did my other two. Mm-hmm. As he got older, became a great student, made president's list in junior college. He's 3 point something here in CSP and is going to graduate in 4 years, where my other two most likely will graduate in 5. So this is a big deal to him, for Michelle.
So how does he feel about this?
Me. He's kind of.
Would he have if he had the choice? Which would he do?
We presented that to him. At first, he was like, if they're out of playoff contention, which most likely they will be, he was like, I'm going to stay and graduate. But the more he thought about it, he didn't want to ditch his teammates.
Team, right?
So
That's a
he's
pull
like,
in another direction.
yeah. So I don't know if they all kind of talked about it or not, but he said, I want to stay with the team. And I totally respect that. So that's what he's elected to do. Whatever the team's going to do, he's going to do. So.
Cool. Well, congratulations
bring it
to
to
him.
him.
Either way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal. I never did it, so.
I didn't do it either.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't do it, and I'm going to have 2 kids that did do it, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. Just reminds me that I'm getting old.
It's true.
So, but yeah, so that's in 3 weeks, and then, yeah, summer.
That's it.
Hopefully he lands a job on Monday. He's got a job interview, so that's exciting. And then hopefully
Get him off the payroll.
it's the whole idea, Jeff.
Yeah.
The whole idea. I've already got one off, although I polished off my taxes last night.
You're late.
No, not yet.
Today's the day, right? Yeah.
Today's the day. Polished off my taxes last night, and it was the first time that I did taxes without claiming Justin. And him coming off the payroll cost me some dollars on a refund.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
So I didn't get the tax credit for him. But
he's also off the payroll. He's also not
Yes.
dragging down other parts of the
yes,
financial.
100%. So I still got a little bit of a refund, but yeah. No,
All right. Well, I paid someone. I don't have time for taxes.
Yeah.
I just take care of it and do it.
mine aren't that sophisticated, so I just plug it into online and just do it.
Bugs me about the tax thing because I feel like this should be just a no-brainer. Just send me a bill like anything else.
Yeah.
Like, why are you making me figure out what
my
you already
God,
know?
I know.
It's just so stupid.
I can only imagine for some people what doing their taxes looks like. It took me about 2 hours last night, and I've done mine for years. But again, they're not that sophisticated. It's just,
Most people's aren't.
No, it's just plugging in numbers. Big deal.
Why can't the government just send me a bill
I know.
or send me a refund? You already know.
Yeah.
So you're quizzing me to say that I?
Yeah.
What's the point?
Exactly.
It's such a waste.
Yeah,
And
it's
I
like-
think
and
other
everything-
countries do that.
Every paper I had, it's like, this has been reported to the IRS.
Right.
Reported to the IRS.
Right.
So it's like, you already have this.
Yeah.
So.
Just send me a bill or send me a refund.
Yeah,
Whatever.
But I got the texts, one last night, one today, that both returns were accepted,
All right.
and that's always that coming to Jesus. It's like, okay, where's
Yeah.
the tax? Where's the tax? And they're both accepted, so
Yep.
we'll be good. So yeah, so I'm getting a small refund from the state and okay refund from the feds. So that's good.
It helps.
take
It's a interest-free savings, and I think there's a school of thought where it's like if you're getting a refund, you're doing it wrong.
My dad thinks like that, and I get it.
I get it,
but I look
Yeah.
at it as a year-end bonus.
Yeah, you're getting, for some people, it's like, yeah, okay, I'd rather not have to. I never want to owe taxes.
Right, and
So
I
I'm
never
okay
have.
with
Yeah.
giving a little bit extra, knowing that I'll get whatever
Yeah.
I overpaid later, and that's fine. If I don't make interest on it, okay.
If I never saw it to begin with, then it doesn't bother me,
Right.
and then it's like, okay, cool, I'm getting,
I mean, just think of all that baseball you can bet with that.
I know.
So many games.
That's right.
All right, let's
dude.
wrap it up. I'm tired,
I am too.
and yeah.
I still gotta drive home.
All right, well, it was good to see you,
Likewise.
and yeah, next time I come into town, do the same thing.
For sure.
We'll have to figure something out in the coming weeks because I'll be traveling and
Yeah,
taking
you've
time
got some
off.
international travel coming up,
do.
so we will dance around that. That's going to be awesome for you.
That will be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if there'll probably be a couple weeks where we'll just take off. And
Yeah, that's cool.
do whatever. Maybe I'll do an AI version. Since
Hey.
we were messing around with the AI voices before we hit record.
Hey, you have my voice now.
I do now. Yeah.
So
yeah, maybe I'll come up with something.
Yeah.
I'll have like a one-sided conversation, and it'll just be, me throwing stuff at you, and I heard Jason say something. No, I won't do that. I'll get in trouble. All right, let's wrap it up.
All right, man.
I'll see you. I'll talk to you later, and I'll get you in your car and get you home.
sounds good.
All right.
See ya.